city of Syria has a population of close to 300,000. Even in the time of Abraham, it was a well-known city. And today it is still a great trading center. It is known far and wide for its inlaid wood, furniture, silks, articles of brass and copper, and glassware. Here is a street that is mentioned in the Bible, the street that's called Straight, a street that Paul has walked down. Here is the same window that Paul was let down through in a basket by his friends to escape from Damascus. We see Ahmad Mosque, which is the largest in the world. We visit a marketplace. Jerusalem, the sacred city of three religions, is situated about 35 miles from the Mediterranean, high on the barren crest of the Judean mountains. It has a population today of about 100,000 people. The Garden of Gethsemane is located on the outskirts of Jerusalem, at the foot of the Mount of Olives. The olive trees we see are very ancient, and they are thought to be the same olive trees that Christ walked under while on earth. It was Christ's custom to retire in this garden with his disciples, and it was here that he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas. looking through the olive trees of the Garden of Gethsemane toward the city of Jerusalem. The steel gate we see is the Golden Gate. Christ once rode a donkey through this gate. Now we view Jerusalem from the top of the Mount of Olives. Here is the great wall around the old city of Jerusalem. Here is one of the few gates to the old city. Here is the same pool where King Solomon was anointed king. In the distance we see Jerusalem. This is the court where Peter denied Christ 3 times before the cock crowed. This is thought to be the approximate site of the Lord's Last Supper. On top of this cliff is Gordon's Calvary, where Christ was crucified. At the bottom of this canyon is the brook where Elisha was fed by the ravens. In the distance we see the city of Jericho, which was once called the City of Palms. We are now in the modern city of Jericho. Here we see the ruins of ancient Jericho. The high mountain in the distance is the mountain of temptation, where Christ was tempted by the devil. Palestine is a small and rather barren country. The whole country is about 150 miles long and 50 miles wide, or about 1/3 the area of South Carolina, one of our small states. Here is Elisha's Fountain, which is located about 1 mile northwest of Jericho. The Jordan is the principal river of Palestine and is about 240 miles in length. This is about the spot where Christ was baptized by John. The shore of the Dead Sea is the lowest part of the world not covered by water. This sea has the saltest water in the world, and no fish can live in it. It also has a distinction of being the safest place in the world to swim, since it is impossible to sink in water with such a high percentage of salt. The Dead Sea is about 50 miles long and 10 miles wide, and its greatest depth is 1,300 feet. One of the mountains we see across the sea is Mount Nebo. It was from here that Moses first viewed the Promised Land. Here we are in the desolate country midway between Jerusalem and Jericho, at the ruins of the Good Samaritan's Inn. Tradition associates this spot with the parable of a man who fell among thieves. To untold millions throughout the world, Bethlehem is sacred because it's the birthplace of Jesus. It is also the birthplace of David, and Boaz and Ruth dwelled in this town. Bethlehem is located about 7 miles south of Jerusalem, and it has a population of around 7,000, mostly Christians. From Bethlehem went up the triumphal song, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men." We see some of the narrow streets of Bethlehem. Here, if one wishes to buy milk, a goat is stopped in front of his home, and the amount needed is milk. Here we see the well of the 3 wise men. Near Bethlehem, we see Rachel's tomb. On the road from Jerusalem to Nazareth, we view Mount Tabor, the traditional site of the Transfiguration. At Haifa, Palestine, we see Mount Carmel. From the top of this mountain, we see the end of another day as the sun dips into the Mediterranean. This well is located along the road between Jerusalem and Nazareth, and is famous because of Christ's conversation here with a woman of Samaria. Nazareth is a town of 9,000 people, situated about 85 miles north of Jerusalem in the mountains of Galilee. Here is St. Mary's Well. Christ spent much time around this sea. The Sea of Galilee is where Christ walked upon the water and where he stilled the angry waves. We view Tiberias, the largest city on the Sea of Galilee. From Tiberias, we see the beginning of another day along the Sea of Galilee. Perhaps on one of the distant hills we now see is where Christ performed the miracle of feeding of the 5,000. The Sea of Galilee is a fresh body of water and is about 13 miles long and 8 miles wide, and it is filled with many varieties of fish. We see fishermen now returning from a night's work. We are now on the northwest shore of the Sea of Galilee at Capernaum. The ruins of this synagogue is one in which Jesus is believed to have taught. In no other town did Jesus work more miracles or preach more sermons than in Capernaum on the Sea of Galilee.